over the month since the tragedy in Newtown, we've heard from so many, and obviously none have affected us more than the families of those gorgeous children.
They're about to propagandize and use these children as tools,
who were lost. And
part of
so
their
we're
mind
grateful
control
to all of you
ploy
for taking the time to be
to
here
pass
and
laws that will do absolutely nothing to keep the children safer.
recognizing that
But they
we
think
honor
it
their
will.
memories, in part by
The
doing
president's
everything
going
we
to
can prevent
refer
this
to
from happening again.
as dramatically that there was another shooting in California. Well, the guy used a shotgun there, so should we ban shotguns? They could have used a bow and arrow. This is lying propaganda, terrible, 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 tugging on the heartstrings, Nazi-esque, Goebbels-styled, good old Edward Bernays created propaganda. The concept that he wrote the book. So now these children are going to tell their little, we need to, understand how this is being manipulated, how we're being manipulated by this. Our public opinion is completely controlled by these criminals who have hijacked our government.
I feel terrible for the parents who lost their children. I love my country, and I want everybody to be happy and safe.
So criminals will never have guns, and they won't be able to cause any harm against people who live in rural areas that don't have any police response, for example. I'm ranting.
And Julia said, Julia, where are you? I'm not scared for my safety, I'm scared for others. I have 4 brothers and sisters, and I know I would not be able to bear the thought of losing any.
You can't stop this unless you give the kids, unless you put them through metal detectors like they do in bad areas. So every school you have to go through a metal detector, and then some psycho can always come in. This is something you cannot prepare against. You can just react to it, God forbid if it happens. Come on, people, be conscious of this. Be aware, this is the truth. They're taking our guns away, our privileges away, our rights away, forcing us to buy insurance. It's Marxism, it is, call it what it is. It's a communist, totalitarian, socialist government.
Keeping our children safe.
Using these excuses, these Goebbels-esque, Nazi propaganda excuses. And I'll use that Nazi. Oh, don't talk about the Nazis. Well, they're using the tactics. Same thing with the health insurance. God, if you only know those that are watching who are aware of what the pharmaceutical industry is doing to our country, poisoning us and destroying us while they're talking about taking away assault rifles and limiting clips, while they poison us with drugs that cause cancer and cause other ailments that need to be treated with more drugs and more treatments to line their greedy pockets. These scum.
On this topic, news broke of another school shooting
this morning
in California.
So take away the shotguns now.
In the month, since 20 precious children and
20 precious children. Keep that propaganda going there. Unbelievable. It's just disgusting. Yeah, whatever weight that you don't hold any weight. You write executive orders that are unconstitutional. You commit treason on a regular basis. So did Bush. We've got a criminal government. They've been taken over by these criminals, and everyone believes the lies. They're so conditioned to the lies that the truth they don't listen to. They don't believe the truth because they're conditioned to the lies. This is psychological warfare. The whole thing is a psyop. Whether this is an MK Ultra thing with Adam Lanza, or if he was just troubled, he was on psychotropic drugs, whatever it is, they're utilizing the effect of it to get their way. To get everyone to think that guns are the problem, not the problem. Taking away the guns takes away our safety more than anything that they legislate to take away our right to or possess any type of weapon. What's next? They're gonna, knife crimes will go up. They'll ban knives, ban forks next.
We will make sure mental health professionals know their options for reporting threats and violence. Even as we acknowledge that someone with a mental illness is far more likely to be a victim of violent crime than the perpetrator.
Listen to this propaganda.
Those who oppose even modest gun safety measures have threatened to defund scientific or medical research into the causes of gun violence, I will direct the Centers for Disease Control to go ahead and study.
Of course, spend more money studying more drug studies, putting these poor people on drugs, destroying their brains.
We don't benefit from ignorance.
You're being ignorant, those that are not awake, that are not listening to this and understanding how we're being taken over. John P. Holdren, the writer of Ecoscience, read the book. He's our science czar. Michael R. Taylor, top lawyer and lobbyist for Monsanto, heads the FDA. The FDA are closing milk farms down and going after organic produce growers.
Action from members of Congress.
This is the truth.
To make a real and lasting difference,
Believe the
Congress
truth.
too must act.
Don't believe the lie.
And Congress must act soon. And I'm calling on Congress to pass some very specific proposals right away. First, it's
Here goes his 23 executive orders.
For anyone trying to buy
Then all private gun sales have a record too. And they can find out who has the guns. See, the registration is so they can find out who has the guns. That sounds reasonable, right?
The law already requires licensed gun dealers to run background checks, and over the last 14 years, that's kept 1.5 million of the wrong people from getting their hands on
Well, that's a good thing.
But it's hard to enforce that law when as many as 40% of all gun purchases are conducted without a background check.
So now a private person wants to sell their gun, they're going to have to get a background check. So more money to the government for them to fleece us from. So we have more fees because if you want to privately sell your gun, you got to make sure that it's not a felon. But I guess if you get the real ID card, the national ID card, it'll prove that you're okay. So then we'll know exactly where you are and you'll know that you're not a felon. I see exactly where this is going. It's going down a very dark path. Welcome to the New World Order.
Congress should restore a ban on military-style assault weapons and a 10-round limit for magazines.
Here we go again. This was covered in the Luby's case. It only takes a second to drop out a clip, whether it's 6 rounds, 5 rounds, 7 rounds, 9 rounds. It doesn't take any time difference. So as our local police forces are militarized with government subsidies and government handouts to the SWAT teams and making our police force look more like a militarized police state on every day growing, they wish to take away our rights to defend ourselves in the event that tyranny unfolds itself. You see, they wish to undo what the Founding Fathers created to stop tyranny in its tracks and to defend ourselves against the tyrannical government, which seems to be growing ever greater with every new program, every new deficit, every new debt, every new burden placed upon the American people.
To listen to the American public and to the law enforcement community and support a ban on the further manufacture of military-style assault weapons.
Oh wow! Quarter Republican so that it changes everyone's opinion. This is insane!
To help rather than hinder law enforcement does its job. We should get tougher on people who buy guns with the
problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a declining economy and unemployment's rising, so crime is going to rise. And believe it or not, if you take away the gun rights and you take away the guns, the criminals will always find guns and get them.
Since Congress has
There's nothing they can do to stop that, barring taking them away from everyone.
In 6 years.
And then what? You trust the government to take care of you. Only police and authorities of government can have weapons. Then you're in a police state. Then you're in a totalitarian society. What sets us apart from the rest of the world, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are the only country that has the right to bear arms in our Constitution. And these other countries, the governments are fearful of the people,
like most Americans,
so they keep the guns away from them.
Here,
we have the guns for our liberty. They're not for hunting. I don't own a gun for hunting. I don't hunt. My guns have nothing to do with hunting.
Millions of responsible, law-abiding gun owners in America.
Okay? It's there to protect my family in the event somebody comes in my property or someone tries to take my rights.
Protection or collection.
Or do something horrible. Because I'm not going to get on my knees
that we can respect the Second Amendment,
give in to tyranny. I'm going to stand tall.
Law-breaking feud from inflicting harm on a massive scale.
But there is a war here.
Background checks.
Make no mistake about it. It is the war on the American people, against the American people, by this criminal element in our government that is using deceptive, compartmentalized practices to take away our rights. And they've been doing this for 50, 60 years. All you have to do is look back in history and do a little bit of research. Don't believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. Find the truth. Seek the truth. Research it. Find your own truth. There's only one truth, and that is the truth. You must find it. Seek and ye shall find it.
They want to gin up fear or higher ratings or revenue for themselves.
This is what he just said. Fear.
And behind the scenes, they'll do everything they can to block any common sense reform and make sure nothing changes whatsoever.
They're going to make sure that they take away our guns. They want to make sure they take away our rights, tax us more and more, progressive tax. It's Marxism. Come on. Obama's a communist. He really is. Let's just call him like it is. And these elements in this progressives are really just communists in disguise.
The usual suspects.
That's it. I can't stand this anymore. The usual suspects are, we need to end the Federal Reserve, and then we'll get back the prosperity in our nation. They're bringing us into hyperinflation. They're intentionally deindustrializing us, giving all the loopholes. He is such a liar. But people have been conditioned to believe the lie, as opposed to believing the truth. It's unbelievable. Brady Bill, right after Lenin was shot, of course, Reagan was shot. Gun control, gun control. Got to get the Brady Bill, take away handgun rights. They've been doing this for a long time. And it all sounds good, especially if you're really not paying attention or you don't understand that they have a hidden agenda. And their hidden agenda is to take away, ultimately get the guns. I mean, ultimately they will work. It might take a long time, and it's never going to happen because we won't relinquish our guns, and our children won't, and hopefully their children won't. And we can keep freedom and restore this republic, because right now we are in a socialist country. We have all of these programs are bankrupting us. The bankers are making trillions. They put us into debt out of money made out of thin air. They tax us. They tax our property. It's over an abundance of. It is far worse than what King George was doing when this whole thing started, back in the Declaration of Independence from England. That's right. It's far worse. You've got a Federal Reserve that's printing money made out of nothing, putting us debt, and then we have to just get away with the debt ceiling. Ben Bernanke, it's not a non-issue. They're criminals. Then you see what happens when they crash economies. They've done it over and over again, and the people suffer, and we pay the taxes, and we pay for their evil. And then what's even worse is we pay for our own demise through their big pharma medical mafia drugs, and we pay for our own demise eating their GMO food and drinking their fluoridated water, while they laugh their way to the bank in every instance. And then they crash economies, and people buy houses they can't afford due to legislation that's passed that sounds good, like Clinton was such a great guy. Clinton, putting up Clinton. Why don't you go check out the Clinton Chronicles to learn a little bit about him and Bobby Seale and Mena, Arkansas, and all the cocaine that went through when he was governor. I mean, we have criminal elements that are running our government. You got to understand it. It's the truth. Research it. Find your own truth. There's only one truth, that's the truth. Seek it, and you shall find it. Watch Truth Talk News, livestream.com.